come out as Tracer and maybe a first point. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that everyone has their own preference and playstyle, and what I'm going to share with you, some of them are going to be just kind of hard facts like her toolkit and stuff, and then a lot of it's also going to be the way that I like to play her. And it doesn't have to be the way that you want to play her, or even the way that you're effective in playing her, because everyone has their own way of being effective. So just wanted to throw that out there to begin with. Okay, so first things first, everyone knows that Tracer has blinks. The blinks recharge every 3 seconds. Every 3 seconds you get one blink. And your blink travels a distance of 7 meters, which doesn't really mean shit to me in this game, except that when you hear stats like McCree's stun has a 5-meter distance with a 2-meter radius, then obviously it becomes more applicable, things like that. But otherwise, if it's not being compared to another ability, I feel like 7 meters doesn't really mean anything. So what you need to do in order to get used to that distance is just blink and be like, oh, I can get over here and get over there, and it makes sense. One thing you notice, you cannot blink through walls. That would be OP.
That'd be amazing.
I know, right?
Just blink through a wall.
Seriously. All right, so that's kind of just the basics of blinking real fast. Next thing in her toolkit is recall. Recall lasts 1.25 seconds. That's the actual duration of the recall, but it rewinds you back 3 seconds in time. And the default key binding is actually E for that. Couple things that happen during this 1.25 seconds. The first one is that you're invulnerable. So if a diva bomb is exploding like right next to you, if you recall right when it explodes, you won't die. You won't take any damage at all because you are completely invulnerable for 1.25 seconds. The other thing about recall is you regain the HP that you had 3 seconds ago, with one exception. Okay, I feel like I did a bad job of explaining this last class, so let me... All right, so if I... Sub, where are you? What's your HP right now?
It's full.
It's full. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of damage, and you're just going to hit E when I say go. Hit E.
Oh, wait. Sorry. Got it.
You're back to full, right?
Correct.
Okay, so the reason why Sub is now back to full is because she hit E within 3 seconds after she took damage, so she got her full HP back. Now, if I hit her and she hit E after 3 seconds, she wouldn't regain, it would just rewind her 3 seconds, whatever HP was at that time. Now, the part that's confusing a little bit is the game is pretty forgiving to tracers with their recall. So if you take damage, and within those 3 seconds, you pick up a health pack. So technically, when the second that you hit recall, you actually had higher HP than you did 3 seconds ago. I have to move, otherwise I'm gonna get kicked. It gives you the higher HP amount. So if 3 seconds ago you were at 50 HP, but in, let's say 1 second ago you were at 70 HP, the game will give you 70. It won't drop it back to 50. Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of a cool thing. The game is nice about it. Let's hope they never take that away, because it would suck. Okay, so the other thing about her toolkit, this is a really important one that is often overlooked, is her melee. Every character has melee. Tracers, I feel like, is really, really important because she's always up in your, ideally, she's up in your face anyway. So you should already be shooting at melee range. So adding a melee at the end of your clip is really easy to do, and it does 30 damage, which is a lot, in my opinion. Okay, so there's 2 more things in her toolkit that I want to go over. One is her actual pulse pistols. So obviously she has 2 guns. There's quite a bit of spread, so you want to make sure when you're shooting someone that you're really close to them. If you unload an entire clip from both guns into someone, and they're all body shots, you do 240 damage.
Oh.
That is a lot of damage, and that's assuming, of course, that every bullet hits them, and that you're right next to it, because there is actual damage fall off to it. So this is one of the reasons why you want to make sure that you are close up to your enemies when you're unloading clips. Obviously, you want to be careful about getting stunned or getting grenaded, things like that. But otherwise, You want to be close to whoever you're shooting to deal as much damage as possible. And the other thing about her pulse pistols is headshots do count. So headshots actually has a multiplier of 2, so that 240 damage can be multiplied to 480 if all the bullets get dumped into someone's head. That is a ridiculous amount of damage. With that said, Tracer only has 150 HP, which is the lowest HP in the game. So I call her a glass cannon for that reason. Hold on 1 second, I need some more. I'm not going to spill it on my keyboard.
What to say? Are your sippy cup ready?
Okay. So that was the pulse pistols. Did I say that it has, yeah. Okay, so it does, remember, 240 damage, so most characters are like, 200. I think Reaper's 250, so after you unload your entire clip, just do that quick melee and he's dead. The tanks are really the only ones that you can't instantly kill if you were to get really close to them, like Roadhog or Reinhardt, which have like, 5 and 600 HP. Okay, so the last thing in her toolkit is her pulse bomb. If I remember correctly, her pulse bomb has a throwing distance of 7 meters, which I think, is it 7 meters? Let me double check.
The same distance as the blink?
Yeah, it's a 3-meter radius, but what is the distance of the throw? It doesn't say on the actual Tracer thing, but I'm pretty sure it's the distance of her blink. So I think it's like 7 meters is like the distance you can throw it, and then the area of effect is 3 meters after it's thrown. The fuse on her pulse bomb is 1 second. Now, if you remember what I mentioned earlier, her recall time is 1.25 seconds. So one thing I did a lot of when I was first picking up Tracer is I would throw my pulse bomb and then recall and come back right when it's exploded, because it's only a 0.25 second window, like difference there. So one thing you want to be really careful about is wait like a half second before you hit recall. So don't if you've been, so if you're running straight, let's say this car that I'm shooting at, that blue car, let's say there's a nice, beautiful Zarya ult waiting for you to pulse bomb it. If you're just gonna go blinking, throw your pulse bomb, hit recall, you're safe. The problem it only becomes an issue when you've been dancing around someone for a while and you're not entirely sure where you're gonna end up, 3 seconds rewind it. So you're gonna be in this area somewhere. If I throw my pulse bomb and hit E, there's a high probability of me landing in my own pulse bomb. So if you've been dancing around and you're going to throw your pulse bomb where you've been dancing around, wait a half second before you hit recall. Otherwise, you'd risk dying by your own pulse bomb. This is a little thing to keep in mind. Okay, so our pulse bomb does 400 damage, so that takes out most characters. Pretty much the tanks are the only ones that can survive that. Unless, of course, there's ulting going on like by Zenyatta or Lucio. All right, let me see. Let me go down my list. Okay, so that's her toolkit. Now, when to play Tracer. So Tracer obviously is a flanker's course, which means that Tracer is not up in your front line shooting behind your Reinhardt shield. That's not her place. She is flanking, so she is shooting from the side, she is shooting from behind, she is in the enemy backline, blinking around, causing havoc. One thing as Tracer, you want to be very mindful of when you're engaging. So that means when your team is grouping up and you're all kind of hanging around here and using the corner, if you guys are still waiting for your healers to come back, don't just jump onto point and start shooting, because that's 6 people that only have to worry about you because everyone else on your team is waiting around the corner patiently. You're going to die. You want to wait until your front line engages the enemy front line. And the reason why you want to do that is because then their Reinhardt or Orisa or whoever is, I think you got DC'd for inequity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you join back on it, or is it not letting you?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're on my side. Yay. Okay. So where was I? I told you I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so you want to wait until your front line has engaged the enemy front line to jump in. And that's because then, their Reinhardt, if he's smart, he's not going to turn around, leave his team, and go after you. That's not his job. He's going to let the people in the back line, hopefully, he's going to hope that they sort it out. But it's not going to be a 6v1. It's going to be whoever's on the back line and able to, divert resources to dealing with you. As a tracer, a couple really good heroes to play with are like a Winston or a Diva, basically characters that are going to dive with you, even a Genji partner in DPS. And that's just so you guys you have to be pretty coordinated to do it. So if you have a Winston on your team, for example, say, let's dive, Zen in the back. As soon as that's called, Winston, I usually tell him to call the jump. As soon as he jumps, I blink in and we both jump Zenyatta. If we do it right, he dies right away. Sometimes, Ana can sleep the Winston or whatever, things happen, we get grenaded. But if you guys are coordinated and you guys are waiting patiently for your team to engage when you jump, the success rate should be pretty good, or at least possible. So that's kind of when to use Tracer. With choke points like Eichenwald or with Hollywood, Tracer can just blink past chokes really quickly. But remember, don't do that don't engage unless your team is engaging. Because if you engage 6 people, you're gonna die by yourself. It's really sad death too. Okay, so I know everyone's getting a little antsy, so I want to do a really quick drill here. Everyone line up on this thing right here that I'm shooting at. Okay, so what we're gonna work on really quickly right now is tracking. And this doesn't only apply to Tracer, this applies actually to all heroes that require tracking. What I want you to do is keep your cursor on my head. Don't shoot me. And what I want you to do is strafe left and right. Don't jump. Just strafe left and right and try to keep your cursor on my head. I'm not gonna move. CQ, are you there? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now I want you to start jumping right and left and keep your cursor on my head. Got a little harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a couple things about this. So tracking has 2 elements to it. One is tracking, obviously, the enemy player's movements. So you need to be able to predict where they're going to be going and just following, wherever they're. Oops, I need to move. And following where they're going. And then there's tracking your own movements. So as you're going left and right, with your WASD keys, your right hand needs to adjust with the mouse. The good thing about the latter bit of tracking is you're about to go left and you're about to go right. So you don't have to predict that part of it like you would with an enemy. But it still takes getting used to. Having your left WASD keys line up with your right mouse movements. And the way to get better at that is practice. One place to do that's really helpful, other than just playing with your own friends, is using the training grounds. And they have bots that are stationary, so you can start off by just you moving left and right and trying to keep your cursor on the head, and then move to the bots that are moving, and to for it to get a little more advanced. If you're having a really, really hard time keeping your cursor on someone's head as you're strafing, and I'm not moving, it might be a mouse sensitivity issue. I don't want to go too much into that because I feel like a lot of that is personal preference. But if you really you don't have the control over your mouse to keep your cursor on someone's head, even around it, you probably need to reduce your sensitivity significantly. Okay, so that again, I won't go into it, but there's plenty of resources out there about mouse sensitivity and stuff that you can look up if you decide that that's something you want to change. Okay, so now I want you guys to line up again and stay still. You guys stay still, and I'm going to be the one who's moving, and try to keep your cursor on my head. Okay, now I'm going to randomize my movement a little bit. Okay, so this is a lot harder to track than when only you were moving, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now what I want you guys to do is you move, and I'm going to move and try to keep your cursor on my head. I'm just going to do simple left and rights. Okay, now I'm going to jump a little bit. So that's another thing for you to practice on your own time. The kind of the last layer of this, which is really hard, is adding blinks to your strafing and so what you do is as soon as you blink, you need to snap your cursor back to your target. And at first, it's going to take you half a second. And then as you get better and better, that's going to be reduced to, 0.4, 0.3, whatever it is, until you can snap pretty comfortably back to the target that you were tracking. Because remember, you need to do this enough times that tracking your own movements is not the problem. It's tracking the enemy's movements is the only question. But again, that takes time and a lot of time, especially because Tracer has so many different nuances regarding her movements and stuff. Okay, so let me see. That was tracking. Okay, that was blinking. Okay, so the next section I want to go over requires me to kill myself.
Nice.
All right, and then I'm going to move you to the other team. Swap to red team. Okay. Did that move you, or do you have to, you said you back to spawn, right?
I'm in the enemy spawn, yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to come out as McCree.
Lady.
And meet you guys on first point. Big thing about Tracer. Okay, so everyone knows pretty much that one of Tracer's hard counters is McCree. And the reason for that is he has this awesome stun ability, which disables her for, I don't know, half a second or something like that. The exact time is, let's see, duration is 0.7 seconds. So the cooldown on his stun is 10 seconds, which gives you a lot of breathing room. So what this means, so let's say as Tracer, you're here, coming up on this corner where I am on McCree. So you're coming up, your team's about to engage, you're just kind of waiting for your tanks to push in. And there's a McCree around this corner, me right here. So let's say I pop out. The first thing I'm gonna do on McCree, if I see a Tracer where you guys are standing, is throw my grenade. Throw my stun. So as a Tracer, you need to have that really quick reaction time of two things. One, obviously, spotting the McCree. And the second part is being able to blink away from his area of effect on his stun. So if you remember what I said earlier, Tracer's blink distance is 7 meters. McCree's maximum throwing distance for his stun is 5 meters with a 2-meter radius. So that's his extreme stun range is 7 meters, exactly Tracer's blink. So if I'm where Sandra is, go back a little closer. Come a little closer to me. There you go. So if you're there and I'm here, if you blink, there's maybe a couple meters between us. I don't know what meters are in this game, but there's maybe a couple meters between us. As soon as you see me, if you blink backwards, if you see me pop in and I'm about to throw my stun at you, if you blink backwards, you will be out of range of that stun. And you know you will be because it's, you're blinking 7 meters away and you're at least a couple meters away from me. The thing you need to be careful about is where Zinganza is right now, where Chris is right now. If you blink past me, so blink past me, just forward, you're right next to me. So if I'm a really fast-acting McCree and I see that you're blinking past me, I'm just going to turn around and stun. And you're going to be stunned because you're within that 7-meter radius. So it's your call on whether or not you want to disorient the McCree or if you want to just step back to evade the stun. Because sometimes, you kind of figure it out as you play the game, who your biggest threats are. I've been in matches where the McCree was not a threat because he just wasn't that great at predicting where my movements were going to be. It depends on the McCree. So if you see the McCree and you're like, oh, it's that guy again, I'm not scared of him, you can just blink past him and he's going to miss his stun because he's not very good and you can get away with it. But again, it depends on the situation. My default setting is I assume the McCree is going to stun me. So I try to stay outside the range. one thing to do to also kind of disorient a McCree is blink twice. So blink past him and then past him again. And oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about blinks. You can blink in all directions. So you can blink forward by hitting W and shift or right click. And then obviously back, left, and right. And you can also blink diagonally, just like you would run diagonally with hitting your W and D or W and A. You can be moving in that diagonal direction and hit your blink, and you will keep moving in that diagonal direction.
I had no idea that she could do that.
Right. And so backwards blinking is really helpful, especially when there's a McCree on the other team, because you know you'll be outside the effective range if you don't like blink past him. Okay. So that was okay. So what I wanted to do is like you guys stand here where I am on McCree. And then basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peek like stand in the line, so it's one person at a time. And I want you to come like I'm gonna peek out, like just slowly walk forward, and I'm gonna peek out and try to stun you. Okay, so ready, go.
Easy.
Perfect. Okay, so that was a really fast reaction time. Good job. All right, next person.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay, I think I missed. Did I stun you or not? I
No.
didn't see that. I blinked. Okay, cool. All right, next person. Ready, go. Ooh, nice job. That was really fast. Okay, next person.
Hold up now.
Damn. Okay, you guys are really good at this. Good job. All right, so things obviously get a little more complicated when it's not just a McCree. If it's a McCree plus his Zenyatta who just discorded you or whatever it is. Or if it's a McCree and God's forbid a Roadhog. That's the worst combo against Tracer. Because you're not only like trying to work out the stun, but you're also trying to like dodge the hook that you know is just waiting for you. So, but thankfully, Hog isn't played nearly as much anymore, but I feel like he's gonna come back. Okay, how much time do I have, by the way?
You have, let me check my phone. You have about 10 more, 20 minutes, right?
20 minutes. Okay, cool. So hold on one second. Let me go through my notes. Perfect hit. Okay. So once you see, so McCree's biggest counter against a Tracer is his stun. So if you have successfully baited his stun, meaning you made him throw it and he missed, or you saw him just use it against someone else, you have the next 10 seconds to go to town on that guy. And that means up in his face, blinking past him, disorienting him, and just unloading everything you've got into that McCree for the next 10 seconds. Because he can't do anything to stop your movement. He can get lucky and get a headshot or body shots on you. That absolutely can happen. But this is when you jumping around, blinking past him, and disorienting him is the way you're going to take him out. One thing to just keep in mind is so McCree has obviously his Deadeye. When Tracer hits her recall in the middle of McCree's Deadeye, it resets his Deadeye for Tracer. So like, you know how it like locks?
Oh.
So if like, let's say he's locking 4 people and it like all of a sudden shows the 3 or the 4 red dots. If Tracer recalls, it resets for Tracer only, obviously not the other 3 that he has lock on. So you can totally survive a McCree ult if you recall when you think he's going to actually fire. Okay, next thing was, okay, so Roadhog hooks. Well, actually, before I go to Hog, okay, so Ana. So, I have to move. All right, so the thing with Ana, let me just come back as the old lady real quick. I love that they changed they like let you control the respawn timer now. Just like come back instantly. Okay. So, with Ana, there are 2 things that you need to bait out from her. One is the sleep dart, and the other one is the grenade. So Tracer is the only character that can reset Ana's anti-heal. She's the only one who can do it. And the way that you do it is by recalling. Because remember, it takes you back to 3 seconds before whatever happened to you. and it actually removes the anti-heal, which is like awesome. Because, like I said, no one else can do it. There you go. Now your anti-heal is gone. So when you come up, so Anna's actually going to be one of your targets. I'm kind of like, I used to be not so secretly, but a little secretly terrified of Anna's. I'm not as afraid as I was before, but
The nerf.
yeah, since the nerf. But before her nerf, man, she could just ruin you in 2 shots. It was like kind of embarrassing. But okay. Anna's going to be one of your targets as a flanker. So when you see an Anna, you know that she has 2 things that can really mess up your day. One is the sleep dart, and the other is the grenade. Depending on the situation, if you've seen her she just threw her sleep dart, I think there's like a 12-second cooldown. I don't remember exactly, but it's a long cooldown on her sleep dart and her grenade. I feel like I need to check it. Oh, I'll check it out. Anyway, but you got a while. So if you see her throw this and that into a group of people, she's basically kind of defenseless. Of course, she has her rifle, and it can totally ruin you. Like sometimes mercies can just wreck you. Like it just happens. Okay, like I know it sucks when it does, but it happens. But if you see her throw that and that is your prime time to go in there and just get in her face and unload as much as you can. And there's nothing she can do except pray that her unscoped hits are hitting you. If you haven't seen her throw it, and hopefully you've been watching the field a little bit, so you'd know that if she did throw it, assume that she has it. So let's work this corner again. Come back to the corner. Okay, so obviously Anna's probably not going to be like front line. She's going to be more playing in the back. So what I want you to do is your objective is to get behind the payload right here where I'm jumping up and down. And I'm going to be standing here to try to stop you. So I want you to kind of be able to do that without getting grenaded and without getting slept. Ready? 1 person, go. All right, success. Next person. Go. Okay, next person. Ooh, nice route. Next person.
Oh crap.
That's okay. Ooh. Okay. All right. So all of you did a pretty good job, and the reason why all of you were able to come back here without taking any damage is because you guys successfully used your blinks and your movement abilities to evade Anna's shit. So again, we're simplifying the process in the sense that if it was just you versus Anna and that was your only objective, it's going to be a lot more simple. But usually what happens is there's a whole bunch of people surrounding Anna. So you need to be mindful of the McCree around the corner, the hog that's protecting her, whoever else might be there. But the basic principle still applies. You have to know who's on the field. You have to know what abilities they have that will ruin you, and you need to be mindful of that. So as you're crossing and an Anna's looking at you, move around and make her miss her sleep dart. There is no AoE on the sleep dart like there is on the McCree stun. The McCree stun has that 2-meter AoE. The sleep dart has to be exactly a hit. So that works in your advantage in the sense that Anna has to be really accurate. It's easier for you to dodge a sleep dart than it is a McCree stun. Except that she actually has no range to it. It can go on across the map. Yeah, no problem, can go across the map. But of course becomes increasingly more difficult for her to hit at that range. Okay, so the next hero that I'm going to go over, last hero, is Hogs. Give me a second. Okay, so Hogs. We don't see him so much in this season, but I have a feeling they're going to buff him and bring him back. And he is like, one of your arch nemesis. And it's because of his hook. I hope so. We have a hog main here. Yeah. So if you're able to dodge the hog hook, if you are able to do that, what hog should turn into for you is your ult battery. And what I mean by that is, okay, so in this game mode, your HPs have all been buffed, obviously, and I also buffed your ult generation. But oh shit, hold on, because we haven't.
Skirmish ran out.
Yeah.
Traveling to Lumbani.
Who was I?
Hog.
Yeah. Yeah. So your ult recharge is buffed and your HP is buffed, but your blinks and recall and stuff, all those timers are the same.
I'm at 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. All right. This is me, my last hero. So it's the same thing again, where go stand in this our corner area. And this guy actually does hide around corners. So this is actually a pretty realistic situation. So someone go ahead, go first. And what I want you to do, not get to the back of the point, but I want you to actually just try to shoot me.
Okay.
Ready, go. Okay, that was a great dodge. Okay, next person.
Oh.
No. That was a really good recall though. So normally, I was waiting a really long time, but normally sub, when you hit your recall, that was actually a really good time to do it. Because it was just enough that a hog would have been waiting to try to like gauge what your blinking pattern is and throw his hook. So you actually did a really good thing, but I was purposely waiting longer than I should have. One thing that I forgot to mention is when you hear Tracer giggle, she just ran out of blinks. So you know,
really?
Yeah, so when she giggles, the next blink isn't coming for 3 seconds.
Oh.
And that's, you hear that indicator from enemy tracers. So if there's actually a tracer on your bum and she giggles, she's out of blinks and doesn't have one for the next 3 seconds. Okay, next person. That was so off. Good job. Next person. All right, good job. All right, so as soon as nice stick. As soon as I said, as soon as that hook is down, I think it's a 8-second cooldown. I don't know what it is, but again, it's a long time. It's enough time for you to get in that hog's face. So it's 8 seconds. Okay, thanks, Sandra. And basically charge your ult. Dance around him. You want to blink past as much as you can and move around, move through his body if you can. Disorient him. His scrap gun did get a buff. He can shoot faster than he used to be able to. So that part works in your disadvantage, but you can still dance around a roadhog pretty well, in my opinion. Okay, so I think, is it 10 minutes of instruction or 10 minutes of questions? Questions? Okay, so I'll just go over the last couple things in here. Okay, if you're going heads up against a Sombra, don't let her hack you. As soon as you're hacked, you're at a severe disadvantage. You can stop her hacking you by dealing damage to her. That resets her hack. A couple good heroes to have pulse bomb combos with is Zarya, obviously. Another one is a Reinhardt. It's not as good as a Zarya bubble, but if your Reinhardt just got 5 people on the ground, throw your pulse bomb in the middle, it should kill a couple of them at least. Okay, I think I covered the stuff that I wanted to. So now what I want to do is open this up to questions. So ready, go.
If I was in like an open area, like going off a cliff 3 seconds ago, is recall gonna screw me over?
Yes, and that's another thing that I used to do all the time. Is this is part of the thing where you want to have that running timer in your head of where am I gonna end up 3 seconds to go. And at first, it is really difficult for you to remember, but over time, you just know. So when you're like jumping over a crevasse or something, if you recall, you might recall right above that crevasse, and if you have no blinks to get out of it, you will fall to your death. And that has happened to me quite an embarrassingly high number amount of times. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah. What's your opinion about the IDD/QD blinks? If you know what that is.
I don't. I know him as a player, but I don't know.
It's sort of when you, if you stand in front of me here, on the ground, and you sort of do this. So you blink through them and then you blink back, essentially.
Yes, yeah. So when I said like, when I was telling you to like charge your ult battery basically with Hog, that's what I meant when I said dance around him. Is blink through him so he's turning around. And same thing when we went over the McCree drills. How I said it's your call on if you think that McCree is going to be able to do a 180 and just stun you. Like if he has that kind of awareness, that's your decision to make.
No, but sort of with the fake out blink. So you blink behind them and then you like blink back after a small time so they start turning and then you end up with your sort of crosshair on them, but they are unsure where you are.
Yes, that's something I use all the time, and I highly recommend it. And I would recommend actually blinking diagonally in that situation if you're going against someone that's really aware of, like, you can kind of tell when someone plays Tracer. Like if there's a McCree that plays Tracer because they can track you really well. Like they know the distance, they know where you're likely to go. So if you do come across someone like that, blinking past is definitely a really good thing to do, and then blinking past and then immediately blinking back is also very viable. I like blinking diagonally because not a lot of people do that. It is a little disorienting for you, but as I mentioned in the beginning, it's easier to track yourself than it is the enemy, but it just takes time to get used to it. Was that your question? Did I address that?
That was a great answer. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So if your question was, is it good to blink and then blink back past the person? My answer is yes, absolutely. But the trade-off that you're making when you're doing that is you are disorienting that player, but you're sacrificing your movement for the next few seconds. Because you just instantly burned 2 blinks, and it takes you 6 seconds to get 2 blinks back. So if it's like a McCree that you're juking, but he has like 2 people around him, it's questionable. I probably wouldn't do it in that situation because I would need those blinks to survive the next 2 people. But if it's a 1v1, if it's me versus a McCree, then I'm absolutely going to do that. Because I don't have to worry about using my blinks for someone else after. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Any other questions?
How much do you love Junkrat as a counter?
Oh my god, well if Roxy's playing him. Yeah, Junkrat's C4 is a pain in the bum, because if the Junkrat's paying attention to you, he's going to wait till you get in distance of his C4, which is quite a bit. Throw that C4 at you and detonate, and it really, really hurts. Tracer doesn't do so well with the Junkrat when you're in close quarters, because like if we're in this room fighting, the Junkrat just has to spam his bombs and something's gonna hit you. Pack that with the C4 and you're instantly dead, basically. Tracer can blink over Junkrat traps. So if you see a Junkrat trap, obviously you should probably just destroy it, but if, for example, you didn't want to alert the Junkrat that you're there, like if you're going down a different route or something, leave the Junkrat trap there and just blink past it. And maybe
You
just
have to like
keep the heads up.
jump and blink, or just blink?
No, you can just blink past it. Yep.
What?
You don't have to jump. Yeah. You can just blink right past that thing. Kind of crazy, I know. And actually, you can blink. You can blink past like projectiles, like a Farah rocket. If it's coming at you and you blink right when it's supposed to detonate or hit you, it'll cancel it. You won't get hit. Same with the Reinhardt charge. You can actually blink past it. If he hits you, you're screwed. But like if you try to blink as you're getting pinned, that won't work. But if you see him coming, you can actually blink past him, like directly past him.
That's nuts! Holy shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the Junkrat trap thing. Yeah, it's crazy, right? I feel like you should have to be, or you should get trapped by that, but no. Same with an honest sleep dart. If you see it coming at you, you can actually blink into the dart and it will miss you. It will go right through. Yeah.
That's nuts.
And a Roadhog hook, same thing. If you blink as it's about to hit you, even if you blink into the hook, it won't hit you. But you have to time it pretty like close. I mean, it's a crazy time. You only have like a split second to time it. So, anyone else have any questions?
I got mind blown twice, so I think I'm good.
Okay, if that's the case, I just want to end the class with one thing, which I think is actually probably one of the more important things about playing really any hero in this game, but in my experience, especially DPS heroes. I'd say about like maybe 30% of this game, maybe even more than that, is confidence. And I mean that really seriously. So I can't even count how many times I have won a battle like against a soldier or another tracer that had better accuracy than me, that I knew was a better player than me, had better mechanical skill than me, only because I had more confidence in that fight. Like, it's countless how many times that has happened. So one thing that you're doing when you say I'm playing Tracer is you need to tell yourself, I'm gonna go back there and I'm gonna kill someone. Like, you need to believe that you have the ability and the skill and the confidence to go heads up against whoever it is that you're going against, and you're gonna kill them. Because as soon as you lose that confidence and you turn around or you back up or you show that fear, if that enemy is paying attention, they're going to take advantage of that. And as Tracer, that's something that you should also be aware of. So like when I play Tracer, I know who's afraid of me. Like you just know. When you're back there and you see the Ana freaking out, like grenading herself way too early and little things like that, you pick up on it and you know they're afraid of you and you take advantage of that fear and get in their face and take them out. But again, like I said, that really applies to every hero, but DPS especially, because it's a lot of pressure, like being responsible for, like staying alive and killing your team. I mean, every role absolutely has a lot of responsibility in this game, but I think it's different kinds of pressure.
I actually had one more question.
Yeah, what's up?
Would you agree as a Tracer, your main kind of identity is kind of acting apart from your team? Like, you're supposed to basically live in the back line. You need to rely mostly on yourself, and it's kind of up to the tanks to protect your supports while you're on the enemy's supports.
Yeah, it depends on your comp. So right now, dive comp is really popular. So if you're playing Tracer, it's really good to have like a Winston jump with you, so you won't be by yourself. Of course, you don't always get that, and I'm not saying that you can't play Tracer if you don't have a Winston. You absolutely can. And I can't remember if I said this in this session or not. I'm getting my sessions mixed up. But as Tracer, you want to make sure that your front line is engaging the enemy front line before you go back there. Because if you don't wait and you just go in there by yourself, you're going to die. It's just going to happen. So wait until the enemy team is wrapped up, at least initially, with your team before jumping in. And if you have a Winston jumping with you, focus the same targets. They'll go down faster. Yes.
I have a last question.
Yeah, what's up?
What's your opinion about using the last blink? Is it only for like blinking out, or is there some other use for it during fights?
Okay. So I like having a blink in my back pocket, but I'd say maybe 30% of the time I don't have it. 70% of the time I'm using it because you want to be really useful. You want to make sure that you're using all the tools that you have constantly. But it depends on the situation. Like if you're stalling for time on the payload or something like that, obviously you're going to go down to your last blink. If you're 1v1ing a McCree or you're going after a Mercy, let's say, and you need that one extra blink to get closer to her to kill her, I mean, it's worth it, right? Like you have to decide in that moment, is it worth it for me to sacrifice my out to kill this person or to survive a few seconds longer? And it's very situational. I like having that blink in my back pocket to get out. I like having it, but it's kind of a luxury to me too. So keep it if you can. So don't, and this is where, I think it was you who also asked about the IDDQD blinking thing. Like, yeah, if you're 1v1ing a McCree, you have that luxury of blink again, and then you can use those blinks and you'll be okay after that fight. But if there's 3 people in front of you, I would use my blinks a little more conservatively because you're gonna need it for the next person trying to kill you. Very, very situational. That was a good question though.
Hello there.
And then same thing with recall. Like try not to use that unless you absolutely have to. Mostly it's used to regain HP. Tracer does like all the heroes in this game, she does a breathing in like a or whatever, like when she's at, I think 70 HP is her number. 70 is still like, I mean, you can play with this. I like in an ideal world, you blink when you're at 20 HP every time, you know, or not blink, sorry, you recall at 20 HP every time. Like that'd be awesome, but you can't always get away with it depending on what's ahead of you, so. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, there was a question that someone asked, not the last one, but the one before it. I was gonna add something to that. What was the question that was asked again?
What was it about?
Before the blink question, it was something else.
Oh, I don't know about that one. The questions I asked are about recalling into like a place you can fall into, and about her role in the team, like in terms of.
Oh yeah. Okay, that was it. Okay, so in the last session, I made this kind of example. So like, you know, when you think of, I'm almost done. You know, when you think of like a lion who's hunting, you know, some animals, some pack animals, he kind of like. Or she, because the lioness is actually doing the hunting. Anyway, she kind of is like along the outskirts of that pack, and she's picking off the weak targets. So if you have like a Farah or you have a McCree or a soldier on your team that's dealing damage, and they call, you know, low Zenyatta in the back, it's your job as Tracer, because you can get in there so quickly to kind of just pick off the last, you know, 50 HP of whatever hero it is. Now, that's not to say that you can't get solo kills. You 100,000% can absolutely do that. But when there's a Tracer on your team, you are responsible for doing the cleanup as well. So like a lot of times when like if I play soldier and I'm like, no, so-and-so's at 20 HP and she's around the corner, that's when I'm like, where's my Tracer? She needs to clean that up. You know, that's fine. Obviously if I don't have a Tracer. But you know, if you do have a Tracer, that's kind of Tracer's job, is clean up that low target with that. And then very, very last thing before I let you go, because I know I have like no time left. This one is something that I'm still adjusting for myself, because I played it a different way for way too long.
Enemy contact.
Is use your right click for blinks and actually change your key binding for your ult to the shift key instead of Q. And the reason for that is your Q key actually kind of disables your left movement. So when you're on Tracer and you're like in someone's face, which is when you should be throwing your pulse bomb, it's kind of annoying when suddenly you have to take your dedicated left key and use that for throwing your ult. It's like you're kind of disabling a quarter of your movement ability as you're throwing it. So instead, it's recommended to rebind your ult key for Tracer to shift, which shift is defaulted at blinking, and then use your right click for shift instead, or for blinks instead. Got it?
Yep.
Cool, awesome. All right, well, thanks so much, guys. I hope that